Okay, well, we'll call the meeting to order at 4:03 p.m. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from April 17th?
So moved.
Thanks, Eric. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Khalid. All those in, oh, I didn't elevate. I should elevate both Rich and Bill. So we don't have enough. So let me let's pause that that motion. And just make a note, Sarah, that I'm elevating Bill and Rich to membership voting status. And then so then Eric made a motion to approve the minutes, and I think it was Khalid seconded.
Yeah, Khalid seconded. Does someone need to make a motion to elevate them, or can you just elevate them?
I think I can just elevate them as the
Okay.
chair. Oh, here's Ken. So all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. So our next item is public comment. Karina, you're our only member of the public, so if you'd like to say anything.
Yes. So I had some conversations with my neighbors regarding getting the readings. And one of my neighbors said that she just didn't want to get into it because she just didn't need the internet for any professional use. It was just occasionally to look something up, and that because of that, she wasn't interested in the speed of it. And I know if I had multiple conversations with her, then I might be able to get her to come around to actually going through the process or allowing me to go through the process. But it made me think that, oh my goodness, that's a whole kind of resistance that I wasn't thinking about, not based on, oh, I can't even do this or I can't be bothered to do it, but it doesn't matter to me. So why do I need to participate in it? What I have is good enough. So
good libertarian streak.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't going to have an argument that day. I had some other things to do, but I thought, well, that is one point. I did go to Morningstar, and I wasn't able to talk to the person who's kind of in charge, but one of the staff members said, oh yeah, the internet is a big issue for them, and that it's just particularly slow. But I imagine that might be because they have multiple staff members putting themselves onto the system. If you have so many people using it, then that could possibly be slowing it down. Or maybe they just don't, I don't know what kind of system they have. So maybe it's for private home use, but then there are a dozen people trying to get on it at the same time. So I thought that was just something to possibly be considering moving forward. If we do an actual complete survey of the town, where we're going to have to go to every road and at least get one person or one family to send the readings. So I don't know what the status of that is right now.
We're gonna talk about that.
I've had this people mention the same issue to me about, well,
Great.
what I'm getting is good enough now. And I always come back to them and I said, well, you're not going to live in this house forever. And you're going to want to sell this home, and probably somebody that's going to want to buy it is going to be a family with children in it. And if you're not able to have adequate bandwidth, that's going to significantly depress the value of your home.
Right. I did bring that up.
It's a pretty convincing argument for a lot of people.
Yeah, I did bring that up, that the people shopping for homes are certainly looking at bandwidth as being a part of the value of the home. So, but I think it's for some people, it's going to take multiple conversations to get them to agree to it. So I've started.
Thank you.
We'll see. Okay, but that's my only comment, and I'm just curious. I'd like to hear kind of like what the latest are. So,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
wish I had better news of the latest. But the survey update is pretty good. I mean, we've gotten very close to 6 people in each of the 4 quadrants of town, the census block groups. So I was really excited. I thought we were moving in the right direction, but Khalid actually really tipped me off that the way we were understanding Deep's directions was not accurate. And so I did talk to Jillian Cara of Deep today, and she basically said that if Spectrum offers a higher plan, then then they're gonna go with the highest plan. So all these places that we thought were underserved, they're not underserved because they can spend more money and buy a higher plan, which is really disappointing because I thought we had really good data that was gonna prove.
What's the highest plan that they offer?
Well, let me share my screen because I actually pulled it up for your house. Because I did submit a challenge for your house, Ken. So
Yeah.
let me
1 gig by 35, Ken.
Yep.
yeah. So this is what's called the broadband fax label. So most people have this one on the far left of the Spectrum internet.
I don't
Lynn, we can't-
unless other people can see it. I can't see
I
it.
No.
can't see it.
Okay.
I got a black screen.
Okay. What did I do wrong? My computer is being very slow. Okay.
If you only had a better broadband connection.
I actually plugged into the hard wire so I wouldn't have problems. Oh God, and I didn't make anybody I'm like frozen.
But we can hear you.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was what the charter person had told me at the beginning, that it's available, and so nobody is underserved, and they're happy to talk about people who are not served, but nobody's underserved.
Right.
But we can't prove that they're underserved.
Well, yeah, we can't
Well,
because
unless Ken gets the full upgrade package and tests
Exactly.
it out.
yeah, we haven't gotten any data that I think I'm gonna have to leave, and I didn't make anybody a co-host. I apologize.
You can make me a co-host.
Yeah, but I'm frozen. Oh, maybe I can do it now. No. My computer's not letting me do anything. Okay,
We may have to
Um,
rejoin.
I know, but I hope I don't lose. I don't hope it, because I'm the host, I hope it doesn't.
No, I think we will go bye-bye.
Yeah, okay,
Okay, so we can re-sign on.
okay. We'll see what happens.
A bientôt.
Oh, hi.
Are people still there?
I'm here.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all here, and
I see Lynn.
is still there. So
I don't see Lynn.
No, her name is still
It
visible.
looks like
online.
Lynn is frozen.
No.
Okay.
All right, Lynn, can you sign on your phone and then maybe toggle between them
I think she's gone.
if she's there? If she's there.
How is the meeting still running? Who's the host?
I know, that's interesting, huh?
Ghost host. Oh, look at all, there we
Oh.
are.
Okay, Richard is.
So right now, Rich, you're the host.
Okay, I just admitted Rick. It looks like Lynn is really gone now.
Yeah.
I mean, she can
So
probably come back.
if she tries to restart it, it's going to say this meeting is already in progress.
Yeah, but Richard should be able to let her in. Because he's become the host.
Yeah.
Khalid,
Yep.
is there any way that Spectrum will provide financial support for people to have a faster internet? Or is that something which, you know, it's just you pay or you get the lowest level of service? Like, do they have?
I haven't asked them, but they're for-profit business, so
Yeah.
I suspect they won't. I know there are Connecticut state programs for people who are income-based programs that help, but I doubt Spectrum will do that.
The Connecticut state program is ending now. Like if
So there are no state
if not,
programs that'll do
yeah, if
that.
it didn't end already, it's like ending it by the end of the month. And it's actually a big deal for the library community. We're discussing it because there's a lot of people that have been getting subsidized internet and it's now disappearing. And I was talking, so we had a meeting yesterday with the state and with the broadband, the larger broadband digital equity group. And there was talk that one of the guys who was on it was a former attorney who was an attorney for Spectrum. And he had absolutely nothing positive to say about Spectrum, that they were, he just a lot of negative comments about their interest in helping the larger community or this effort, and that he's particularly well paid as the CEO. The head of it gets something like 90 million.
90
Plus
million.
90 plus incredible tax breaks to move their headquarters from, I think it was in St. Louis to Stamford, like a $25 million tax break to move their headquarters over here. So he was just generally mad.
So their headquarters are now in Stamford, Connecticut.
Stamford, yep.
That's interesting. But Stamford paid them $25 million to move them.
Or yeah, like whatever provided the tax breaks to bring them here versus where their headquarters was in, I think, St. Louis, he said.
Well, look, I just went into my account with the Spectrum charter and, currently I'm paying $79 a month. That's the internet portion of my bill. And it said I can upgrade my plan to 500 MIPS for an additional $20 and a gigabyte for an additional $30. It doesn't say what my upload speeds will be, but I
think what Jonathan had said was right. It'd be 30 up. I think that's what they had told me.
Okay.
And if you dig deep, you might be able to find it somewhere, but I think that's what it is.
Yeah. They list their three plans: the internet plan, the internet ultra plan, and the internet gig plan as being 300, 500, and 1 gig with 10, 20. There you go.
10, 20, and 30?
25 for upload, I believe.
25.
I changed computers. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so this is the one on the left here is the one that most people have, the inner spectrum.
35.
And they, the quoted price is $84.99. But the fact that they have these other two, makes our challenges, the chance of them being approved probably pretty low.
Well, I
Um,
don't understand because I'm paying 79. I'm gonna go look at my bill now, but but I'm paying 79.99 a month.
Right, most people
You
have
get
some kind
a
of a
$5
discount.
credit. You probably have auto pay set up, so it hits your credit card every month. So you
Yeah,
get a
I've got
credit
auto
for
pay,
that.
but I'm not getting anywhere near gigabyte. I'm getting a little under
No,
300.
But
And
you
at-
didn't pay for
At the top of the
Spectrum
screen
Internet
is like the
Ultra.
the first year promotional. You're getting the left-hand one. So once it's regular, that monthly price number, not the
Yeah, and
promotional
so,
number at the top.
so
where is that?
Ken, yours is the one on the left. And it says they're saying you will get 300 megabytes or higher download and 10 megabytes or higher typical upload. And that's what the majority of customers in Kent have.
Yeah, but I'm not paying. Go to the top of that screen. It says.
I
what the-
know, but that's because they are offering promotional
If
discounts.
you go to the middle of the screen, you'll see the monthly charge. If you scroll up just a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah, so right there, the monthly price. That's what you're getting. That's after 1 year, you get it to the monthly. At the top of the screen was the promotional first year you get
Right.
at a deep discount.
Right.
Okay, I got it. So I'm not paying 85. I'm paying 79.
Mhm.
Because you've got the auto pay, so you get a $5 a month discount.
Yeah, okay,
And
so
there-
that's what gets me
And there
down.
are some places in town that they are getting this $49.99 deal. But the key part is that that they have these other two plans that, it's 500 over 20 and 1 gig over 35.
I got
So
it.
that because they offer those, and they did not explain this well. They really did not explain this well. And I feel good because I know Ken was on that same webinar that I was on, that I tried to ask this question very early on.
Yeah.
And they
Lynn,
answered it.
it's not in the challenge document. I read it again after you sent that email.
No, it's not. I read through it again. There's nothing in there that says that. So, I mean, so that's my question of the committee is, do we want to try to proceed with these challenges or do we give up?
My
The other
vote
thing you should
is
know-
we're not going to get anywhere because if we don't have anybody in that right-hand column, we don't have anything to challenge with. We can't show that we're not getting it because nobody has it.
Right. I have not yet come across anybody who has that. There are some people who have the middle one of the ultra. So the other thing is they did tell me that Jillian told me today that they did decide to extend the deadline. So we would have until May 14th to get all the evidence in, which makes it a little bit more attainable.
Lynn, I'm
just time-
really going to be interested to see what challenges are made by whom in the state, given the criteria.
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume there'll probably be a handful of non-serve challenges where people claim that the service provider won't bring service even though they're saying, but it's a high hurdle, particularly for us, given the charter 1 gig service overlay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely seems like it's set up in favor of the internet service providers, not the customers, which is unfortunate.
Lynn, is there anything we need to do in terms of the CAI locations? I know we had talked about it, but if we're not going to spend energy on
Yeah,
broadband challenges, do we want to make sure that we've identified all of the qualifying locations?
well, Sarah reached out to Marblewood. And it's interesting what Karina said about Morningstar because they are listed as a CAI. So it might be worth following up with them and seeing, what are their internet speeds and that kind of thing to see if we can at least help them maybe get some better service there.
May I ask you to tell me what CAI stands for?
Community access institution. Hold on here. Always good questions, Sarah. We're never ready.
I can't remember.
Lynn, what
Yeah.
about thinking about this on a different tack?
Okay.
What if we went to Frontier, who is currently trying to lay fiber optic cable throughout the community, and try to partner with them to help them convert all of these Spectrum customers over to their network. I mean, because basically what they're saying with their fiber optic is going to be 500 up and 500 down. And it's going to be a price that's lower than the $84.99 price for Spectrum.
But I thought, Khalid, didn't you connect with somebody from Frontier and they're not really interested in working with us yet? You're muted.
Not on the state program, but on the federal program, they would. They've got plans for 500 locations, however they call the locations in Kent, not committing to when they'll get that done, not the entire town, but just the 500 locations. But they said they would be willing to talk to us if we wanted to pursue the federal funding. I'm just not sure what that is. And then just as a kind of a other side of it, and take it for what you will, the charter person had said the federal funding will most likely not support a duplicative effort. So if the place is already served, then they're not going to fund to have it doubly served. So there might be kind of a pushing up a hill for that. But I can definitely reach out to them again. I'm just not sure what we're asking.
I think, Ken, what you say is the most important takeaway from this exercise, which, as frustrated as we all are, I don't think is a waste of time, which is without competition,
right,
and without a fiber optic infrastructure, we're going to have the problems of high prices. We're going to have the problems of inconsistent service. We're going to have the problems of a lack of service, depending on where and when. So I guess, Ken, to your point, what can we do is the big question to promote a second provider to be interested in supporting and working with the community of Kent. And Khalid, you've already opened up that door in terms of there's probably going to be some competition. We just don't know when.
Yeah, Khalid, and okay, so right now the economics are telling them they've only got 500 homes. But here we are, a community group that has a broad reach. What if we say that we have every incentive to partner with you to make sure that you get every one of those 500 homes as customers? Because we're going to reach out to all of our neighbors and push as hard as we can to do that. And if we're able to do that, then all of a sudden number one, we've created a competitor. But number two, maybe we will have an opportunity to develop a relationship with them and encourage them to expand beyond 500 in order to support our community.
Yeah, I think it's worth trying.
I mean, I don't know where those 500 homes are located, but and when I talked to their salespeople, they were going to recruit a sales force of young people to go and knock on doors. But
Yeah.
I can't think of anything more compelling than to have a locally chartered community group of neighbors that are adults soliciting
I was
their
gonna say
neighbors,
old people.
soliciting their neighbors and convincing them that this is something that is beneficial to you, and working that way.
I think that's a great idea, Ken, and I'm sure Khalid's thinking the same thing. I guess the question is what our ask is to do that for them. They're going to pass these 500 homes. They may do a little faster if we say this, but what is our ask to provide that very valuable service to them?
I don't really understand the state versus federal funding. I mean, the BEAD program is federal money. It's just being funneled through the state. But Khalid, they just don't want to participate in that?
No. So what was the other one that connected something to the
DT
other?
community.
That was the state. Yeah. That one they don't want. BEAD, they're good.
BEAD they are interested in doing? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sarah, community anchor institution is your longstanding question.
The what I could do, and happy for if anybody else wants to take a stab at it, I could kind of put together an email describing kind of, Ken, what you've laid out. Like, we'd like to help push this along, and to the person I spoke to, I can't remember her name, and then see what the response is. And she sounded open to talking again. So happy to, and actually I wonder if she'd be willing to join this call, although I don't know if we want her to.
No, I mean, that would be great to be able to talk to her on Zoom.
Okay.
I would recommend a smaller group talking to her one-on-one personally,
Okay.
because in public forum, I could understand some of the concerns it's a she, I believe you said, would have in certain conversations.
So just for the minute's sake, have we decided as a group that we are not going to pursue challenges?
Well, I submitted two. I submitted one on Elizabeth Street and one on Ken's on Upper Ken Hollow Road. And I asked them to please review it and give us feedback, because they said they would do that. Early on, they said they would do that. So, but I have a feeling they're going to say, well, you didn't submit all of the broadband fax labels, so therefore it's incomplete. I don't know. I mean, I would like to hear what you guys think, if it's worth trying to do. I mean, we were very close in the Northwest quadrant to have all the evidence that we would need to be able to submit the challenges for 6 homes.
But and that was my point earlier. We don't have any of the evidence that we would need, because the evidence would be, we've got somebody who's got the maximum service level that is being promised 35 up and is not getting it. Right now, the evidence we have is people who are paying the minimum and aren't getting the 35 up, but they haven't been promised it.
Yeah.
And do we know for a fact that all of that higher level of service is available to every person who has any Spectrum connection?
Jonathan did some spot checking.
Pretty much, you can go on to the Spectrum site and pretend, I apologize to anyone from Spectrum on the call, to be a new resident of any address you want, and you can see what services are being offered. And I found uniformly those 3 options, and I purposely was choosing I mean, Rick would have done a better job, but I was choosing what I perceived to be obscure left, right, center parts of town, and everywhere all 3 service levels were offered. Now, that doesn't mean I could have completed a sign up, by the way. That's not uncommon. You know, if I had chosen the 1 gig service, they may come back and say not available at your location, but it appeared to be available.
Maybe just a question, Jonathan, you'd said 1 gig is not possible over coax. Is that the case?
1 gig is possible, or it's symmetrical service, meaning when you want
Got it.
high-speed uploads. And I think,
Got
Khalid,
it.
one of the things there are many conversations, sadly, you're at the, not sadly, luckily for us, you're at the point of the knife. What is Spectrum's plans for their network? So, in the geek world, everyone's talking about cable broadband, people moving to this standard, which is called DOCSIS 4.0, which simply means a higher standard of ability to provide symmetrical services. My point of view, which is why I said to Ken, I think the key here, we all agree, is competition. It's not clear why Spectrum would want to make the investment in such a service, particularly in an area like Kent, where there's effectively no option, basically, at the moment. But yes, it's the symmetrical upload. So like things like telemedicine or certain work applications or gaming is problematic when you don't have those higher upload speeds as opposed to download speeds.
But in any event, I don't see any downside risk in us reaching out to Frontier and saying, we would like to have a further discussion with you because we believe that the town has a vested interest in your success. And can we have a discussion about how we possibly could support your success in our community? Now, we don't have to lay our cards out on the front of the table. This is a conversation. But at least if they're saying they're willing to start the conversation and they assign somebody to do that, then we've started the conversation, and then we kind of go from there, as we learn more about each other.
Yep, I'll tee that up. So I'll send out a note and see if we can set something up. And I'll take Jonathan's suggestion, maybe a subset of us, and just get on a call with the person.
Yeah.
Are there any other next steps that need to be taken by other members of the committee?
So are we agreed that we don't want to pursue the challenges?
Well, why shouldn't we, if we've got the information, why don't we pursue the challenges and see where we go? At least then we can go back to deep. Then we have some arguments to take back to deep. Maybe the discussion has to go into more depth with deep.
Yeah. Well, the discussion we could say is, why didn't you put this in the guide?
Well, I think I think to Ken's point, the real nut of the issue here is the way the standard of this challenge has been set up is unrealistic. The number of people the mere fact that Charter has offering a service level at a price point that the vast majority of people are not going to take, nor can we test therefore against. There's really no challenge opportunity here. It's really about, is something being available to be installed or not? I would say. I mean, unfortunately, I think, Lynn, on the second webinar we were on, I think they said that this is all in stone from the federal program about what can be challenged and how. So I think we are barking at the moon a bit, but at least as far as Kinetic is concerned, it's a valid point.
Oh,
So Lynn, you mentioned that there were certain people who had sent in enough information for a complete challenge. Is that correct?
Yeah. We have
Okay.
we have almost enough to do 6 in 3 out of the 4 quadrants. We're very,
Okay.
very close.
And is there a downside to submission? Is it just a lot of work, or?
Well, every single home has to have the broadband fax label. That's, at this point, that's the biggest hurdle to just go through and do every address and have that PDF available. Other than that, I mean, it's just uploading documents and it's not that much work.
So when you referred to that label, that was the one you shared on your screen?
Mhm, mhm.
So you're saying that each of those individual homes needs to be part of the submission? Does there need to be some sort of personalization of that label that says this is what I received?
It has to be for each address. I clarified that with Jillian today. Cause I'm like, it's the same thing for everyone, but she's like, oh, you gotta do it for each address.
And I'm sorry, I'm asking for clarification on this one again. So do you mean that actual form just connected to each submission, or each individual address needs to find what they were given by Spectrum that says that's what they were getting? Or is
That's
that
what the-
form enough?
That's the bill. That's what the bills tell us, because it says the plan. And then you have to have the, what the 3 labels to be able to say what is possible.
Lynn, would you think it possible that we, just as I had done, look up each appropriate address that we're going to challenge as a new customer, find that
Mhm. Yep,
back
yep.
and use that
That's the way
and
to do
say,
it.
we
Yeah,
check the address?
yeah. That's exactly what I did for Ken's and for
Yeah.
the
Makes
Elizabeth
sense to
Street
me.
address. Yeah.
I have a little question. Would we need to get the approval of the people to know that they're being put into this challenge?
Well, we have communicated with them and explained to them that we need this information because it's
make a
evidence in order to submit a challenge. So
Okay,
I
but
think we've explained that we're sending the information to the state of Connecticut.
okay, all right. I was just curious as to whether I didn't want to have a blowback where somebody says, "Hey, wait a minute, I didn't know my name was going into into this challenge program." But okay,
They're sending us a bill that has their name and their address and their location. So, their location and their plan. So that's one of the requirements that we've
Okay.
spelled out to everybody. I think what we've talked about with going to Frontier is a wonderful path forward. I just want to know what you guys want to do. I don't want to make this decision on my own about the challenges.
Look, I would go forward with the challenges so that we have the experience. And if they come back to us and saying that we can't, that they don't accept the challenge because they do offer the program, at least we will have documented that we did the challenge and this was the response that we got.
Right.
At that point in time, I suspect there are probably other communities that have the same type of issue. And maybe at that point in time, we would be in a position to get together with other communities and begin to put some political pressure back onto our state government, to put pressure back on the federal government to, create some more realistic goals here. I mean, this is the way political action works.
Right.
But the first thing you've got to have is the facts. I mean, I don't think you can go to people and say, well, we didn't try. Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
but
I mean, it
even-
would be
but
nice
it-
to have the data and say that, even though there's a minimum, Spectrum's not meeting the minimum on the upload speeds for the
Yeah.
majority of their customers in what is basically the standard service, even though they
Yeah.
claim that is not
Right.
a category that really matters.
I mean,
Um,
affordability is a big issue here, as we've all said time and
Right.
again. And I think what Ken's pointing out is, okay, maybe, and we say maybe, Charter can provide the minimum level of service as seen by the state and federal government. But by the way, it costs over $100 a month.
almost $200 a month.
Yeah.
So Lynn, at that point in time, if we're able to get allies in some of the other towns, even if they have a different service provider, I assume that they're going to be running into the same issues. And then, then we could take this back to our state representative, who we have great relation with, and understands this thing, and saying, look, here's an issue that all of the communities that you represent are facing. How do we create some bottom-up political pressure that gets back to these organizations to provide us better service at a reasonable price, and then we can develop a collective political strategy to move that forward. I mean, we can do that at the same time we work with Frontier.
Right. I agree. Okay.
Would it make sense in the discussion with Frontier to indicate that that's something that you would like to put into play? In other words, so that Frontier would have a kind of would be maybe more interested, because we are going to try and get a more community-wide group to look at the Frontier issue. Would that be a helpful or more persuasive piece of information?
That may be, but we won't know until we begin having discussions with them.
Okay, all right.
So I would say the first objective is, let's see if we can get them to the table with a small group of us, and we'll start talking turkey with each other and see how we can be supportive, and they will view this as something that is in their best interest.
Okay, fine. Makes sense.
I am bummed that we did not ask people who had Frontier phone service as part of our survey.
Well, they don't have any fiber yet.
I know,
do
no,
they?
but they're going to want to replace all their POTS lines at some point. The so-called traditional copper lines gives us some idea of how many customers they have. I mean, for example, I don't know, I have Frontier, and I've had 3 line outages in 2 years that were a week or longer. So I know they're having trouble.
All right, well, let's get the conversation going first. And once they understand we're serious, if we can get a sense that they're bringing people to the table that are serious, and they think there's something for them to gain out of this, then we can start making progress on many different fronts.
So just in terms of next steps, I can send this note. It's Allison Ellis, and based on who's speaking, I assume Ken and Jonathan and me. Is that the subgroup?
Sure,
Sounds good.
Happy to.
that'd be good.
Okay.
How many people do we have on our committee? Is it 5?
I thought it was seven.
No. Yeah, it's 7. Okay, yeah. I'm just checking. If you have a
Five's-
quorum, you have
five's
to
the
warn it
quorum.
as a medium.
So we
So-
want less than 4.
Five's a quorum, so no, 3 is okay. I was just trying to do the math quickly.
Okay,
Because once you have a quorum, you have to have a meeting. So.
right. And
So we
then
can
Lynn,
get together
why
for
don't you,
coffee?
Lynn,
Yeah.
why don't we have a second group that we empower to talk to some of the other broadband groups in, like Sharon and Salisbury and the other
Washington had a group.
Washington, and meet with their leadership separately and find out what kind of issues they're running into, and see if there's any willingness to join together and create some type of political pressure to improve all of our I mean, that can be going on independently.
Mhm.
And both of those efforts, I think, are not short-term type of things. You get things done in a month or so, but they're worth putting the time and effort into. And if we begin to make progress, that's going to benefit our community and everybody here.
Yeah.
Do we know if the communities, Ken, that you just noted
Well,
have
Lynn,
yeah, I was just curious. Do we know whether those communities, Sharon, Salisbury, Washington, do they have a broadband, or sorry, a group like ours? Do we, Lynn, or do we know whether those communities have something like that, like we have here?
Well, Sharon definitely does, but Sharon has made a decision not to do the BEAD program. They're
Right.
actually doing the Connected Communities Grant Program. And so Jill's working through the library on that one. I think, so Ken and I were at a meeting, like a roundtable discussion for Northwest
there was
Northwest
somebody from Salisbury
Janet
there.
Times. Yeah, there was somebody from Salisbury. There was definitely somebody from Washington. I can't remember all the towns that were represented there, but those people may have done this. The other thing is, I would think that Deep could tell us how many people, what organization, what towns are represented in the BEAD challenge.
Yeah.
So,
The other thing I remember, there was somebody there from INCOG, and apparently they are aware of what's going on, and maybe we could ask Marty to go through INCOG, because it's the first selectman that
yeah,
remember-
Council of Governments, yeah.
Council of
I don't
Governments.
think they're
We could-
taking an active role in this, though.
Yeah, but we
but-
could ask Marty to go to the Council of Governments and get the names from the other selectmen of the lead people in their community who are
Yeah.
working on this. All we need is a name
Right.
and contact
contact.
information.
Yeah. Yeah, I can ask him to do that.
I mean, if somebody went to INCOG and asked Marty who is heading up your effort, he would give them your name and contact information.
Right.
I suspect that most of the other selectmen have the same information for their communities.
Right. And there was a group that started in Norfolk, Connect something, and they fell apart. I'm not exactly sure why they fell apart, but I'm guessing that some of those people that were involved are probably still involved in trying to do some broadband for their towns. So that's a good thought, Ken. We should definitely have some people that who can work on that simultaneously.
Would anybody else be willing to work with Lynn on?
Yeah, I'd be willing to do that. The question in my mind, though, is whether or not it would make sense to have this first meeting with Frontier and see what the temperature is.
I'd do it,
Because,
just do it. You don't know how these things are gonna go. Let's just set them up. I think there should be independent efforts.
okay,
It's going to take a while, Eric, to find out all these people too. So
Yeah.
chances are we're
Okay.
going to be able to have the Frontier meeting.
no,
before
my only point was that if it wasn't gonna take a long time for Ken and so forth to have the meeting with Frontier and get some kind of feedback, it would make a better, perhaps, story to be talking to the other communities about. That was my only
Yeah.
point.
It would be, but colleague's not gonna know. I mean, they may say, we'll get back to you in a month. They may say, look,
Okay.
maybe we're in the summer months right now. People are on vacation. This is gonna be really hard to do. Let's get this going in the fall.
Okay. Good point.
Yeah, just along slightly different lines, Rick, I think you had a while ago mentioned that or indicated that you knew where Frontier was laying their fiber or would be laying their fiber. Do you have a sense of that?
I think if you do the main cross through town with the two state roads. So those are their main trunk lines for their wiring, so.
Okay.
And also if people know, back when everything was just 927 exchange here, there would be most of those houses coming out of the switch station that's here in town. 'Cause the other exchanges that are in Kent Hollow and parts of the ones that come in from Washington, 868 and 354 out in the Milford, they would have to be wired from those systems.
Ooh.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, no, it's interesting to have a little bit more information before we talk to the Frontier people, so we at least have a sense of what they're
Jonathan
thinking.
has a chance because his wire comes off of Skiff Mountain in the Daldorf Road.
I actually have the pager number of the guy who repairs my line. It's funny, literally.
All right.
So I have 3 tasks here in the minutes, just to be clear. The first one is that Khalid, Ken, and Jonathan will reach out to Frontier to talk about making an effort to increase the service possibilities in Kent. Lynn, because we have 6 in 3 of the 4 quadrants, will set up the challenges for those people in those areas. And then the third task is that Eric is going to take the lead on reaching out to these other communities, including Salisbury, Washington, and maybe Norfolk.
Eric and Lynn.
Eric
Yeah,
and Lynn.
Eric and Lynn.
And is there a
Um,
third person that wants to join them? Do you want to join them, Sarah?
At this point in where it is in May, it's probably not a good idea for me to pick up anything else.
Okay. Bill, you've been quiet. Would you like to?
Yeah, no, that's fine. You can put me down.
Okay,
Okay.
so that way we get
Okay.
3 people on each group.
And I think another task that we've started, we should probably finish, is the CAI, make sure that anything that does need to be submitted, that we could try to get Marvelwood, try to get Morningstar, those kind of challenges in, because if we can help those folks get better internet,
Why not?
it's worth it. Eric did come through. I don't think I shared that but he got the information from Wendy at the CEN about which are places served by them. I'm not able to find it quickly. It was the ones we thought, it was.
It was Kent School, the
Yeah.
library. They're doing the town hall. If I try and find the note that she sent me, I'll lose everybody.
That's okay. I got it. I pulled it up. It's Town Hall, Kent School, Independent, Kent Center School, the library, and then she included Housatonic, even though it's not in our town.
That's it.
Housatonic Valley Regional High School. So there are places marked on the map, on the bead map, that are marked as CAIs, but are not served by CEN. So because of that designation, they are supposed to have a higher level of service. So it may be the same type of thing where they have to pay for it. But I'll definitely reach out to, I will do South Kent School. And Karina, do you want to try to pursue that with Morningstar, or would you prefer me do that?
I'm happy to keep moving forward with Morningstar.
Okay, I'll get you as much information as I can, so to explain it.
Right.
Okay. But
Yeah,
we probably are going to need gonna need a copy of their bill and 3 screenshots just to, as a
Right,
base.
right. I just think that's a lot easier if they're struggling to do that, it's just a lot easier for me to do it.
Lynn,
I live in-
did you hear, sorry. Lynn, did you hear all back from Marblewood? Did he follow up with the 3 screenshots?
No.
Oh, okay.
So you might, if you could send another reminder.
Yeah.
That would be great. And I
Yeah,
can't
I
remember
think-
what other places listed on the map are, but I'll find that out.
I think those are valuable efforts as part of the frontier conversation. I don't know if I think it's CEN network you're referring to would necessarily cover all of these, but since I think the minimum is 1 gig both ways, symmetrical, it would be helpful to us in terms of promoting Frontier's efforts to build fiber, potentially. It's another carrot for them.
And I don't quite know how to deal with the town hall because they are in talks with CEN, but they haven't actually gotten it all done yet. So it's sort of in process. But they're not served at this point. They are an unserved location. Which is, I think, how they're listed on the map. So maybe I just leave it alone.
So for the 4th task, I have that we're gonna follow up with 3 individual CAIs. Karina will follow with Morningstar. I will follow up with Marblewood, and Lynn, you will follow up with South Kent.
Right.
Okay. Are we meeting next week?
Why don't, not sure we need to unless the meeting with Frontier happens quickly.
I think we don't need to meet every week now. Maybe,
Okay,
why don't we set up a meeting in 2 weeks
okay,
and then decide, what progress we've made or what we've learned, and then we can kind of, because the idea of meeting every week is we're trying to figure out what do we need to do to get a momentum moving and learn about what we need to do. And I think we've made a lot of progress. It's been a bit disappointing and it's difficult and complicated, but we've made a lot of progress as a group. And so I don't feel the urgency to meet every week.
mhm,
I don't know
I
what
agree.
everybody else, unless all of a sudden one of us comes up in our other meetings and learns something that's really important that we need to really focus on right away, in which case we can have a meeting.
Yeah, we do need 24 hours advance notice to
Yeah.
the town, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, so why don't we plan on meeting Wednesday, May 8th at 4.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
all right, thank you guys. I appreciate all your efforts, and this was a very good discussion. I think we will.
Okay,
let's see,
thank you.
We'll adjourn at
Oh.
5:02. All those in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Hmm.